Welcome to the official start of the Dragonverse, where our motto is familiar powers, unfamiliar heroes. Stick around for some epic adventures as we get started with none other than the dynamic Arachnid. It's a fine morning outside of Powell Industries as we quickly find ourselves inside the building on the experimental research level. We see a man working on some form of serum. As he works diligently, his work is interrupted as the door opens and another man dressed in a business suit enters. There he is, the man of the hour. How are you, Dr. Fields? Mr. Nolan. I'm fine, thank you. I've been hearing the news about this serum you've created, how it's supposed to take mankind to the next stage of life. A new man, a Superman, so to speak. Sounds incredibly fascinating. Thank you. My team and I have worked very hard to finalize the serum. I'm sure they may have helped, but you're the true mastermind. I'm curious. Is it truly safe for use on humans? Yes, I'm certain of it. Excellent. Where's Mr. Powell? Shouldn't he be here? I doubt he'd want me talking to our biggest competitor in the city. I spoke with him already. Unfortunately, he got caught up in an important meeting. So what brings you here? Let's get right to it then. I'm here for you. I'm prepared to offer you a job. You're the best in your field at this company, and you're better than mind-bleeding geneticist. At Nullcorp, I only want the best. If you agree to work for me, you'll be able to pick your own team. The only person you'll answer to is me. Wow, sir, I don't know what to say. Simple. Say you'll do it. That afternoon, we're back at the Blake house. Thomas goes to his closet and begins to put his costume on. Think, Tommy, how are we going to crack that key? He ponders his question for but a moment. I mean, Annie's pretty good with computers. No, that's a terrible idea. How would I explain this? Hey, Annie, can you crack the security on this secret flash drive? Don't ask me follow-up questions, especially not where I got it from. Thomas looks back at the flash drive. And again, what choice do I have? That evening, we see the inside of Annie's home, as she and her family sit at the dinner table. Her father, her mother, as well as a pair of younger brothers. They're all holding hands, heads bowed and eyes closed. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts, through Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. Food is passed around and plates are filled. How is everyone's day? Fine. Boring. Coach thinks I've got potential to be a superstar QB. That's amazing, Jacob. Way to go, kiddo. Jacob and Sam smile at each other. Miss Wilson narrows her eyes. Anything else? Nope. You know she'll figure it out sooner or later. Best come clean. Okay, fine. Sarah Martin told me she'd kiss me if I win my next game. There will be none of that. Mom! Your mother's right. None of that. Better luck next time, champ. Jacob slumps in his chair. What about you, Dad? Sworn some recruits, officers arrested a couple of dirtbags, and nobody was killed on duty. All in all, a good day. Be better if you finally managed to catch that vigilante. In due time. I'm putting together a list of officers that I can organize into a task force to catch this guy. Arachnid. What? Everyone at school calls the vigilante Arachnid, because he leaves criminals in a web. Seems more like a spider to me. Spiders are arachnids, Sammy. Oh, right. Annie smiles. I can't wait to be out there helping make the city safer. Like you, Dad. Don't forget eating donuts. Ha ha, Jacob. Annie, our tech division is small, but it's growing. In this new era, we need more tech-savvy cops to join the force. Have you given that any consideration? Sure, but you know I want to be on the streets. Gang activity's on the rise. You've seen the numbers. You also know how difficult it can be for some female cops. I know, Dad. I get it. But I'm your daughter. Being my daughter doesn't make you bulletproof. I get that, but I feel like you've already equipped me to handle certain pressures of the job. Some of them, yes. Others you'll have to experience for yourself. I just want you to consider all your options, sweetie. I have considered my options, Dad. You don't think I can do it? I never said that I didn't, Annie.
It's starting to feel that way. Okay, enough cop talk. May I be excused?
Mrs. Wilson looks to her husband, who gives a curt nod.
Yes, dear.
Without another word, Annie leaves the table. The next day at Emerald City School in the library, Thomas finds Annie near one of the computers, and he gives her a hug from behind. Hey, you.
Good morning.
Did I do something?
No, I'm sorry. How are you?
Good, I guess. Clearly you aren't.
I don't want to talk about it right now. Did you need something?
I do, actually. He pulls out the flash drive. The lettering has been covered. This flash drive is encrypted, but I need it unlocked. I tried it myself, but I don't have any decryption software.
An encrypted flash drive?
Where'd you get it? I found it.
Where?
In Wyatt's locker. On a bit of a time crunch. Need to get it back before he learns what I did.
Wyatt. Emerson. An encrypted flash drive. You sure? Because he's the type of guy to have password as his password.
Hey, don't judge a book by its cover. He used to be captain of the chess club.
Well, look how the mighty have fallen.
Annie studies him for a moment before holding her hand out.
Sure, why not? My tech skills seem to be all anyone needs from me.
Thomas gives her the flash drive. She plugs it into the computer. She's able to bypass the initial safety measures. You sure you don't want to talk? She stops typing for a moment.
My dad and I talked about me being a cop last night. He doesn't think I can do it.
Really? That's surprising. I thought it'd be behind you all the way.
So did I. He thinks I should boost their growing tech division, so I'm off the streets and safe.
I suppose that isn't the worst thing. Annie turns her head and looks at him. But I think you'll be a great cop. Really. I mean, you work out a lot, and have studied the law, and you actually want to uphold the law. We need more cops like you, if you ask me.
My dad's my hero. I've wanted to be like him for as long as I can remember. So if I'm being honest, his attempt to steer me in another direction hurts.
He's not saying he doesn't want you to be a cop, simply a different type of cop.
I know, but I want to do what he does, what Detective Mercury does. Besides, I'm not some tech genius. The most impressive thing I've ever done is build my PC, and anyone can do that with enough research.
Thomas peeks at the progress bar on Annie's screen. It's nearly complete. He turns her to face him.
Annie, at the end of the day, choice is yours. I do think your dad's looking out for you, but he will respect whatever choice you decide.
You'll always have my vote, no matter what.
Thanks. Your support is encouraging.
She smiles at him and then turns her attention back towards the flash drive. It's done. She hovers her cursor over the open button for a while, as Thomas looks on nervously. She unplugs the flash drive and hands it back to him.
When Wyatt finds you and kicks your ass, don't tell him I help you.
You're the best. Thomas gives her a quick kiss on the lips before taking the flash drive. Later in the evening, Thomas is sitting in front of his computer, reading the intel on the now decrypted drive. All right, Skull Gang, let's see what you've got for me. The file is incomplete.
However, it says that the answers to Project Skullcrusher can be found at the bone marrow base. Locations in the file.
Well, looks like that's where I'm headed. Arachnid arrives at the base. It's more modern than the previous warehouse. He looks down through the rooftop window inside. It's empty. Arachnid quietly moves inside and slowly crawls along the ceiling. He scans for anything useful, spotting the main office. Arachnid descends to the ground via web. He briefly investigates his surroundings. There are signs that equipment was recently moved. Looks like I'm too late. Hopefully they forgot something. He scurries over to the main office. With no problem, he breaks the doorknob off. He finds several whiteboards, all marked with detailed outlines of some chemical. Project Skull Killer? Not quite what I'm after. Arachnid continues to read anyway. Whoever made this was trying to develop a chemical that enhanced the abilities of the Skull Gang. The chemical proved to be too dangerous. Common side effect was heart failure. Test subjects were other gang members, including
loading decks. I'm sorry, Sophia. I'll take these guys down. That's a promise.
Seeing nothing else of use, Arachnid exits the base. The following morning, we see several cars speeding through the city, Skull Gang members packed inside. A few moments later, the cars arrive outside of Powell Industries. The gang members file out as Ed motions for them to take positions. Ed pulls the door open, and the gang members begin to funnel inside. As they enter the building, several alarms begin to go off. The gang presses forward as the building's security begins to take notice. The first shots are fired. The guards are taken by surprise, but they recover quickly, and a shootout begins in the main lobby. "Make an opening for me, then I'll get to the lab." The others continue to fire. A few guards go down, but so do several gang members. "Going now!" The gang provides covering fire as Ed sprints to the elevator. Across town, we see Thomas and Annie walking to class. She gets a notification and checks her phone.
Oh my god. What? Powell Industries. It's under attack.
Thomas's eyes go wide as he processes the news. We see Arachnid as he's quickly swinging through the city, heading towards Powell Industries. His cell rings and he checks the caller ID. It's Annie. He answers the phone anyway.
Hey, Annie. Where did you go? I mentioned the attack, but I didn't think you'd run off. Sorry about that. I'm checking on my dad. You need to leave school to do that? I didn't want to chance it. What are you planning to accomplish? It's probably locked down by now. Annie, look, don't worry about me. I'll be alright. As soon as I know my dad's okay, I'll be back at school. Promise. Sure. Okay, Tommy.
He hangs up and continues to swing towards his destination. We return to Powell Industries where the police have blocked off the crime scene. We follow a detective as she enters Dr. Fields' lab.
Morning, Doctor. My name's Detective Mercury. How are you holding up?
My lab's work has been stolen by petty criminals. How do you think? I'm sorry to hear that, Doctor. You heard it all? Only my pride. Thank God none of my team was hurt.
This life work of yours. I need to know, Doctor. If these criminals manage to use your serum, how bad could it get?
If injected, the user will be granted enhanced strength, speed, and durability. I imagine your police would have trouble dealing with such an individual. And you thought creating this was a good idea. I wouldn't expect you to understand. I'm a scientist. Playing with the boundaries of what's possible is my job. Now, where have I heard that before? An officer enters the room. Detective, we need you upstairs.
Excuse me, Doctor.
The detective exits, leaving the doctor alone. He lets out a tired sigh. She's right, you know. The doctor nearly jumps out of his skin. Who said that? Emerging from a ceiling vent is Arachnid. The doctor looks surprised. You're real? Let's get back on track. I can help you retrieve your serum, but I've got to know something. You said this was to help out regular people, but to what end? Simply profit? Sure, but who wouldn't benefit from being superhumanly strong? Construction workers, mechanics, athletes, doctors? You name it, I can find a profession that will benefit from this. Did you consider the ramifications? I never considered we'd be the target of criminals. Please tell me you have a way to track it. The doctor is silent and looks to the ground. No, it's gone. This is my fault. I should have realized what they were after sooner. It was so obvious. The doctor looks up at the young hero. You aren't the only one at fault here. Perhaps I should have placed a track in the serum. Arachnid hangs his head. It's too late for regrets now. All that's left is for me to stop them. The doctor gives him a somber look. A second later, Arachnid is gone. We see Arachnid as he exits the building. He carefully places the grate cover back. He looks over the building edge to the parking lot. It's filled with police officers and staff members. Arachnid begins to search for his father amongst the crowd. Please be okay. Please be okay. A few moments later, he spots his father, unharmed. Arachnid lets out his breath that he was holding. Thank heavens. Arachnid fires a web and swings off, but Detective Mercury spots him swinging away from the scene. Back at Emerald City High, we see Annie as she's exiting class. Thomas is waiting for her, his head hanging low.
Tommy?
Hey, Annie.
Please tell me your dad's okay.
He's fine. Thanks.
So what's wrong?
I don't want to talk about it right now. Annie goes over to Thomas and embraces him, and Thomas wraps her in his arms and holds her close. That afternoon in the ECPD precinct, we see Detective Mercury as she's sitting in Chief Wilson's office.
When I arrived on the scene, the gang had cleared out. Considering what the doctor told me, things could get ugly.
True, but now we can crack down on them. Kyle the Skull King West will be behind bars soon.
He's not going to go quietly.
That's why we carry firearms, Detective.
Something else you'd like to know? I saw that vigilante leaving the scene.
What was he doing there?
Didn't get a chance to speak.
There's a noise outside his window. They both look. It's Arachnid. They both place their hands on their guns, but Arachnid puts his hands up.
I just want to talk. Preferably not through the window.
The two share a glance. The chief slowly opens his window. Talk.
I know what's going on. I failed to stop the Skull Gang from stealing the serum.
Isn't that fantastic? You mind telling us what you were doing at an active crime scene?
Yeah, I was making sure everyone was all right at Powell Industries.
That's police work. How did you even learn about all this?
I've been going after them for a few weeks now. I recovered a flash drive a few days ago. The intel on that led me to one of their research facilities last night.
The night before. You didn't think to alert us.
Hey, you haven't exactly rolled out the welcome wagon. Besides, I had no idea it was happening today.
Fine. Now I'm going to have you step inside and remove that mask.
I can't do that. Figured. For what it's worth, I'm trying to help. I would like to be there if you assault the main Skull Gang base.
No. I can't let you run around doing whatever you feel like. Before Arachnid can respond, an officer runs into the office.
Sir?
What is it?
The Skull Gang are everywhere, sir. Across North Emerald City and threatening to spill into downtown.
Get every available unit out there. Now! The officer nods and exits. Let's go, Detective. You're with me.
Yes, sir.
As for you.
He turns to face Arachnid, but he's gone. Where the hell did he go? If I had to guess, sir, North Emerald City.
In North Emerald City, the scene is chaos. The Skull Gang are breaking into shops, robbing civilians at gunpoint, and beating up several others. Several fires have been started. One civilian crawls on the ground, attempting to escape. However, he's spotted by several skulls. They approach and surround him, and they begin to laugh. Who wants to kill him? The man braces for the worst. However, Arachnid lands in the middle of the group. Back off. Looks like the freak wants to play. The skulls continue to laugh before one pulls out a pistol. Arachnid doesn't give him a chance to fire. He webs the gun out of his hand. A second web pulls him to the hero, and he's knocked out with a kick. The remaining four all charge Arachnid at the same time. Arachnid leaps over them all. With a flurry of blows, the thugs are down. He turns to the man and offers him a hand up. The man accepts it. He brushes off some dirt. Are you all right?
Yes. Thank you. Let me get you out of here.
I can manage, but what about you? Arachnid looks at the chaos.
I've got work to do.
You should leave now. The man nods wordlessly and manages to escape. Arachnid looks back towards the scene in front of him. He clenches his fists. He spends the next few minutes taking down groups of skulls and rescuing more civilians. As another skull goes down, he grabs him by the shirt and pulls him close. Where's your boss? Where's the Skull King? Right behind you! Arachnid turns around and sees him standing there. The man smiles maniacally. I no longer go by Skull King. It's Skullcrusher. And to be honest, I was expecting more. You don't look all that impressive. I imagine I'll be able to, well, crush you rather easily. You'll find I'm not an easy target. I'm getting antsy just waiting. Enough talk. Let's fight. Arachnid charges Skullcrusher, preparing a grapple. Skullcrusher sidesteps him and drives his knee into Arachnid's gut. He follows up with an overhead clubbing strike to the hero's back. Arachnid crashes into the ground. He manages to avoid Skullcrusher's attempt to step on him. Arachnid gets back on his feet. Skullcrusher keeps the pressure on, going for a grapple of his own. Arachnid catches his hands and stops his momentum. The two struggle to gain the upper hand. Arachnid quickly begins to overpower Skullcrusher, so the large man headbutts the young hero, and he staggers back. That all? Then again, I am the most powerful man in the city, so I shouldn't be surprised. This power is amazing! And your powers have made you arrogant. Besides, this fight is only beginning. Skullcrusher laughs. Then by all means, attack! Arachnid fires webs at his feet and yanks him forward. Skullcrusher lands on his back. Arachnid flips in the air over to his opponent, landing on his chest. He lands 4 consecutive punches before Skullcrusher blocks the 5th. He punches Arachnid hard, sending him several feet into a car door. Arachnid's getting up when he senses more danger. He flips over a motorcycle tossed at him. He uses his momentum to propel himself forward. He gets Skullcrusher in a grapple and begins to squeeze around his neck. You're done. Not quite. Skullcrusher attempts to headbutt Arachnid again, but this time he moves his head. Skullcrusher runs backward, forcing Arachnid to let go or get rammed into another parked car. Arachnid calls around Skullcrusher and sends him flying with a high kick. He looks impressed as he rubs his chin. That's more like it. Arachnid doesn't respond. Instead, he flips over to him, following up with a front kick to the chest. As Skullcrusher begins to fly backward, Arachnid webs him by the jacket and pulls him forward. With his face open, Arachnid downs him with a roundhouse. The criminal goes down, and now police sirens can be heard in the distance. Arachnid kneels to check on Skullcrusher, but with lightning speed, he grabs the hero by the neck and begins to choke him. He slams him into the ground and punches him repeatedly with his free hand. Arachnid looks for an escape, but he's losing oxygen fast. You will be the first victim of my new powers. Then the city will be mine. He places his hands on Arachnid's skull and begins to squeeze. Arachnid grimaces through the pain and gathers his strength. A stinger appears from his right knuckle, and he jabs it into Skullcrusher's forearm. He grimaces and feels his arm begin to seize up. Sensing an opportunity, Arachnid knocks his weakened hand away. Free, he fires a web and swings away from the fight. Skullcrusher's arm hangs by his side, but as he watches Arachnid swing away, he lets out a victorious cry into the night. That night, Thomas returns home. He quickly throws his costume off and goes downstairs. His parents are embracing on the couch. They both turn and see him. Thomas runs to them both, and the Blakes embrace each other. The next morning, Chief Wilson and Detective Mercury are back in his office. We had him right there, and I let him get away. Chief, do you really think we could have made him do anything? If he respects the law? Yes. All due respect here. In the few months this vigilante's been active, he's done nothing but aid us. Oh, you mean like yesterday, when he was gone by the time we arrived? True, but we didn't have to deal with the Skull King. I know. Call me paranoid, but I'm worried about what comes next. What do you mean? Arachnid is the first, but will he be the last? What are we going to do then? How are you and the other cops supposed to deal with problems like this? For as long as I'm chief, making sure you all go home at the end of the day is my top priority. Whatever we can't deal with, we could use Arachnid. Can we really rely on him? What if he decides to give up? It'll be our job to deal with these freaks. Of course, sir. And I suppose things are already changing. The Skull Gang attacked Powell Industries in broad daylight. You bet your ass things are changing. We have to prepare for whatever that looks like. Yes, sir. I do have a special assignment for you. Sir? I want you to get the trust of this vigilante. If we're going to figure out who he is, the only way I see that happening is if he lets his guard down. Can you do that? Of course, sir. Dismissed, detective. Later in the day, Dr. Fields is leaving work. An Arachnid lands on his car. Hey there, Doc. You're back. Just wanted to let you know. I failed to retrieve your serum. Yes, I've seen the news. Do you mind if I ask for your opinion on my work? Is that the only thing on your mind? I'm sorry, I'm simply curious. In the right hands, I'm sure your serum would have been useful. It's unfortunate these were the circumstances my serum was used for. You know, the experiments we do here do change lives. In some cases, it already has. Wouldn't you agree? What are you talking about? My predecessor. Majority of his work was spent experimenting on arachnids, spiders, scorpions, even ticks. A few months back, there was an incident. Nobody knows how it happened, but his experiments got loose. He was fired. Now you're here. This can't be a coincidence. Do you mind filling in the gaps of the story? Sorry, Doc. I don't know what you're talking about. Arachnid fires a web and swings away. We see the Skull Gang as they're preparing for an attack. The Skullcrusher, Ed, and Mariana are in his office. These past few days have certainly made up for our misfortunes. Ed, Mariana, we've done it.
This has gone even better than anticipated.
All thanks to you, Ed. I'm thinking we could try and work out the kinks with your research. The three of us would be unstoppable. That would be nice. The way you trounced Arachnid the other night? I'll do that myself.
As do I.
Skullcrusher smiles. For now, we return to our domain. The city hasn't bowed to its new rulers yet. The Skull Gang and ECPD are in a shootout in the streets of downtown Emerald City. Skullcrusher cocks his large assault rifle. Prepare for the reign of the Skullcrusher! Detective Mercury fires off a few shots before ducking behind her car door. Bullets whiz past her. The Skull Gang begins to advance on the police position. The leaders of the Skull Gang join the fray. The police are pinned down. Skullcrusher laughs maniacally as his shells dance off the ground. The situation is beginning to become dire. The ECPD and detective aren't able to return fire. Detective Mercury looks for an opening, but she doesn't see one. She looks at the officer next to her. He looks as though he's about to take charge. Before he can, Arachnid swing kicks Ed and Mariana from behind, and the Skull Gang takes notice. Keep on the cops, he's mine! Skullcrusher turns and begins to fire at Arachnid, who easily dodges. Back for more? Arachnid is kept at bay by the large gun firing at him. He analyzes the situation. The police are in trouble and he needs to help them. Arachnid decides to kick things up a notch. He fires a quick web at Skullcrusher, blinding him. He leaps into the air over the main action ring, firing as many webs at the Skull Gang. He doesn't stop until the gang members are trapped in a massive web. All that's left is Skullcrusher. Arachnid stares him down as he finally gets the webs off his face. As Arachnid is diving in for a strike to Skullcrusher, he leaps in the air and tackles the hero into a nearby building. Arachnid has to dodge 2 quick punches before connecting with 2 of his own. No tricks today. This is your end. Skullcrusher raises his fist for an overhead strike, but Arachnid webs the wall behind himself and yanks himself to safety. Skullcrusher's fists smash hard into the ground. I'm not backing down this time. Good. Let that killer instinct out. You stole that power, and have been using it to hurt people. I can't let that go on. No, you can. You simply don't want to, because for whatever reason, you feel obligated to protect these spineless cowards, instead of ruling over them. I am simply doing what's natural. So am I. Arachnid rushes forward, kicking Skullcrusher, who staggers back. He catches Arachnid's next kick and slams him into the wall several times. Arachnid begins to get a little dizzy. Skullcrusher finishes off the combo with a clean punch to the face. Arachnid hits the wall behind him. Back outside, Detective Mercury looks to her officers. I'm going to go help him. She sprints for the opening, gun in hand. Arachnid slides back from another punch to the face. Skullcrusher is elated. He laughs maniacally. This is too easy. In a few moments, you'll be finished. Then I can set my sights on Pavone, Fei Wong, and Mr. Ford. Guess there really is no honor amongst thieves. Never has been, never will be. Detective Mercury arrives and hides from Skullcrusher's view. Arachnid and Skullcrusher circle each other. Another brawl begins. The detective raises her gun and fires at the criminal. Skullcrusher looks down at the crimson hole in his leg. His face is a mixture of disbelief and rage. He backhands Arachnid before turning on the detective. How dare you interfere! He charges the detective with frightening speed. The next 3 shots manage to stop his progress. Skullcrusher falls on his back. motionless. Arachnid and Detective Mercury approach. I think you got him.
Thanks. That was terrifying.
You kept your nerve. Not all of your officers would have done the same.
You hurt?
Not really. Didn't hit as hard as he thought.
All that, and he wasn't bulletproof.
Arachnid looks down at Skullcrusher's body.
First time?
Yeah.
You should feel good about tonight. Few times the criminals get what they deserve. Hope he enjoyed his reign. Too long, if you ask me.
He never should have got this far. I'll do better next time.
Much appreciated.
She holds out her hand for a handshake.
Detective Mercury.
Arachnid shakes her hand.
Arachnid.
She chuckles.
Nice to put a mask to the name.
Nice to have one of you not trying to arrest me.
She shrugs. Sorry about that. The chief and I agree on most things, except for how to deal with you.
Could you put in a good word for me?
I'll do my best, but he can be hard-headed. You don't have to tell me. Well, I should get back to it. It's gonna be a long night.
You want my help?
I think you've helped plenty, but I appreciate it. Maybe we should keep in touch. How can I reach you? You got a signal or something? Wherever there's a crime, I'm usually not too far away. Works for me. I'll be seeing you.
Likewise, Detective. Arachnid runs out of the entrance of the building, past the remaining officers. With the work done, he webs off into the night. Hey guys, Big Green Dragon here. I hope you enjoyed what you just watched, and if you did, think about sticking around, subscribing, notification bell. Oh, I think that's the usual stuff YouTubers say. Anyways, seriously, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, and hey, come along on this journey with me as we explore the dynamic Arachnid, and of course, many others to be following. I don't have a consistent upload schedule yet. I am just one dragon, but I promise that I will get the videos to you as best as I can in a timely manner. Until next time, take care. Dragon out.